Do you trust in the moment, in the decision that you're making? Is your decision based upon sound judgment, or are you just being a complete and utter idiot? That's likely what you're wondering right now. Because you see, here's what happens. Sometimes we become too deeply attached to a specific outcome that we want. We become devoted to a desire. Sometimes we become devoted to a person, and it becomes questionable whether we're actually devoted to a person or whether we're actually devoted to a desire, right? And sometimes that desire that we're becoming devoted to gets in the way of our devotion to a particular person. And sometimes the devotion to a particular person, well, that gets in the way of our devotion to a particular aspiration or a pursuit that we're trying to, bring to some sort of fruition, right? And when that level of devotion is really high and our sense of self-assuredness is, perhaps a little lower than we would like for it to be, then it becomes questionable as to whether we're just being a little bit overly adventurous or whether we need to be less, practical and apprehensive. And in one area of your life or another, you're likely finding yourself in just such a conundrum right now. What area of your life might that be in? That's going to depend upon where Mars is actually transiting in your horoscope, planets that it might be transiting over, things that it's forming aspects to. If you'd like a clearer perspective of that, I do offer several different levels of astrological service, all of which are available through the Astrological Services page of my website, including the 2022 Year Ahead consultations, which are presently on special offer for the next couple of days at the link above. So, of course, in your heart, you want to be sure that you're making the right decision. Sometimes, though, it can be questionable as to whether you're acting upon your heart or whether you're acting upon your head or whether you're acting upon another part of your body. But we won't talk about those particular things, but I think you follow my line of reasoning. Sometimes our desires, including our base animal desires, get in the way of what it is that we're actually, would actually be helpful for our lives or helpful for those other people in our lives. And when we've had a buildup of particular situations that have turned out in just that kind of a result, it becomes hard for us to trust in our decisions. But not every decision made upon devotion is unsound. Not everything that is, built upon a desire is completely wrong. Chances are, at this present moment, you're actually acting upon very sound judgment. But you're likely finding yourself in a position because of Mars's connection with Ketu and with the Sun, where you're picking the situation apart. Mars, in its drive and in its impulse, when it comes up against resistance, because Mars is a tamasic planet, and tamasic planets, tamasic, for those of you who don't understand it, tamas is the energy of resistance or density, sometimes also referred to as darkness. So when Mars, hits that resistance, being a tamasic planet itself, it tends to see problems, right? And then the Sun, when it's connecting with Ketu, is going to try to find the perfect solution, the perfect plan. And at the time of this particular transit of Mars, the Sun is spending a large majority of its time in Mula Nakshatra. And you can go so deeply into the process of analyzing what might be getting in the way of you achieving your goal, that actually you find a flaw in a plan that is otherwise quite sound. So my advice to you during this particular transit is not to pick your plan apart with a fine-tooth comb. Maybe, comb over it a little bit, looking for any, lice that you might need to pick out of the plan. But once you do that and you kind of cleansed out all the problems, just let it, go along its own particular path that it needs to go on. You're not heading down the wrong road. And I know it's hard for you to trust that based upon previous outcomes that you might have been prone to, and equally based upon the recent energy of the eclipse. It likely has you feeling, well, for lack of a better way to put it, a little bit apprehensive about the decisions that you're making going forward, because you sense that they have rather large repercussions for a good period of time ahead. And that, in actuality, they do. But you're likely finding yourself in the present moment, holding yourself back much more than you need to. You needn't fear that all of your actions are going to cause a situation to fall apart. You needn't look at 20 different options that might be on the table for you and then become completely confused about which direction you need to go in. Ultimately, you need to pick the one that feels most correct in your heart and just move forward. Make some minor adjustments as you go along. But whilst it's true that you need to look at things with a good deal of perspective so that you can make sure that you have proper judgment, and whilst it's also true that you may feel a little too close to a situation to feel like you have the capacity to do so, in actuality, you are making the right decisions. And if you could use a little more clarity on what it is that you're actually dealing with, as I mentioned before, I do offer several different levels of astrological service. All of these are available through the Astrological Services page of my website. And if you're interested in scheduling with me, you can do that through the link that you're going to see above at my all-new fast website. Follow the link. Take care. Bye now.